Yes, okay. Yeah. So we are glad that we are able to connect and share. Today we shall be discussing about the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. And we want to thank you, Emmanuel and Rasha, for accepting to talk to this group of applicants who would like to compete for the next scholarship, to be the next scholars studying in Sweden in the next when the next study period starts in September 2024. And we shall be looking forward to a very interactive session. So I encourage you to use both the chat and also you can raise your hand later on and ask. So we shall be expecting your microphones to be muted while our panelists present. Let's keep our microphones muted at all times so that we can have a fruitful engagement. You can raise your hand and ask your question later on. We shall make the Q&A as long as possible. We expect our meeting to last 1.5 hours, so we shall be mindful of time. I'm Emmanuel Okello, currently pursuing my MSc evening at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. The session is being recorded and will be made available. I'm going to ask Rasha to go first and briefly introduce herself. Over to you.
Everyone. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Rasha Khamis, and I'm from Egypt. I'd like to define myself as a passionate learner, and now I'm aspiring EdTech professional. My expertise vary from training and learning and development and youth capacity building. Right now, I'm pursuing my master's degree from Gothenburg University in the field of IT and learning, which is like education technology. And also, I'm doing my master thesis now at Ericsson. And hopefully, I'm going to be graduate to be a learning experience designer. And I'm so glad to share my knowledge here with you today about, and also my experience about the SI scholarship application. I know it could be cumbersome sometimes and frustrating process to apply, but hopefully this session will be very fruitful for you and helpful for your acceptance potentiality. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasha. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you for having me. My lighting is really bad. I'm sure you can still see shadows of myself. By the way, my name is Emmanuel, and I'm a master's student, second-year master's student in Uppsala University, Sweden. I'm studying chemistry for renewable energy, and I'm excited to be here. Currently, I'm doing my master's thesis on lithium-ion batteries with Novo Energy, which is a joint venture between Northvolt and Volvo Cars. So I'm excited to be here once again and to share my experience with you. And yeah, we get to talk more in the subsequent times.
Yes, I'll start straight away with Emmanuel. You told us you want to share with us your experience. Please share with us your experience winning the Swedish Institute Scholarship.
Great, and permit me to share my screen in that case. Can you see my screen already?
Oh, maybe it's dropping in. It says Emmanuel has started sharing the screen. Yes, I can see it now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I graduated from Federal University of Technology, Mina, Nigeria. And yeah, BTech in chemistry. And yeah, I've had the experience like applying for several scholarships. and the Gates Cambridge Scholarship was my first application in 2018. And of course, I was rejected. Yeah, I put the picture here, welcome to rejection. Stay strong, because it's something that might be inevitable for some of us. I also applied for the Commonwealth Scholarship the same year, and I got rejected. So one exciting thing about this whole experience is that with each rejection and with each application, my documents get stronger because I develop more experience on how to make my applications better. I also applied for the DAD scholarship. I got the admission to the university, but I didn't get the scholarship. So it was quite, not terrifying, but it was heartbreaking experience for me. And I know that there are lots of us here that have had experiences of applying for scholarships and getting rejection. But I would say just keep applying and try to get it right. So in 2022, I applied for 2 scholarships, the Chevening Scholarship, which Emmanuel is a recipient of currently. And same year I applied for the Swedish Institute Scholarship. It was a good experience for me applying for the Chevening Scholarship first, because I had to write like 4 essays that took me about 2 months. And then I was able to craft out a story for other applications subsequently. And for the UK Chevening Scholarship, I was on the reserve list. But luckily for me this time, I made it on the list, the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. I'm studying at Uppsala University currently, and it has been an amazing experience for me so far, I must say. And yeah, those of you that have been applying before and you've received rejections, I would just say, just keep applying and your time will come. But try to make your document stronger each time you put up the next application. I just want to touch on few reasons why people get rejected. In 2 sections, the first one could be not your fault. The priority, the selection quota, and the competitive, how competitive this scholarship is, might play a role for you not getting or winning the scholarship. So some scholarship might have higher priority for people from a certain region or country, or people studying a particular course or in a particular field. So it might not be your fault in that case why you're being rejected. And some scholarships, or most scholarships, are really competitive too. And for the category where it becomes your fault for not winning the scholarship, could be laziness to read the scholarship criteria, inability to communicate your skills effectively in your application document. And most times people are not even qualified for the scholarship because they didn't read the eligibility criteria, and of course they don't get selected. And yeah, the numbers game. And here I say also you need to be careful. Apply for more than one scholarships because there are several people, not several, a plethora of people applying for scholarships, and it's really, really competitive. So I'll save my remaining slides for the next time I'm coming up. So I'll just hand it over to Rasha from here, so I don't talk too much.
Thanks, Emmanuel.
Yes. Go on, Rasha.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for this input, Emmanuel, because, my experience has not been so much different than yours, especially because if you know about me, I actually graduated, I had my bachelor in commerce and I studied accounting and business. But I was one of those that, I just got into this faculty because, because of what I got in high school. So I wasn't really so passionate about what I studied. So afterwards, after graduation, I changed my career for the first time. I studied IT and I worked as a web developer for some time. And then I had the chance, with some coincidence, to become a trainer, and then like actually a professional educator. And from that pattern that you can see here, you can tell that whenever I would apply for a scholarship, I wouldn't get accepted, because it was like, for me, I was still looking for the thing that I'm passionate about. And this is a very important thing. Before taking a decision to apply for scholarships and choosing a specific program, you have to ask yourself, are you really passionate about this thing that you want to learn? Does this really match your personality, your aspiration, your expertise, your skills, your competencies? So because of that, I always had the dream, to be honest, like, I wouldn't say all of you, but like some of you here, just to, get some education abroad. So that made me apply to many scholarships, but of course, not getting shortlisted, or maybe just getting accepted at one stage, but the next stage I wouldn't be accepted. Because I think I did not represent myself well in my applications, and I think I seemed like a little bit too unrealistic about my goals, or maybe someone who is a little bit desperate to just get accepted. So I decided that I'm gonna pause, on this process for some time, until I'm like, I found the thing that I am always thirsty to learn about more and more. And that was actually the field of education and being an educator. So from there, when I changed my career for the second time, I realized that this is the career that I want to do for the rest of my life. And funny enough, that I had made some or undertook some aptitude tests, like personality tests and stuff. And they would always tell me that I can be a very good teacher or a good educator, and I would never listen, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for real. But when I had the chance and the universe, gave me that opportunity, when I took it, I realized that this is really what I should have done, from the beginning. And I started to build myself on the professional level very eagerly. So I started to learn more. I started to seek professional development programs and postgraduate studies. I started to be maybe more well composed in what I'm doing and more professional. And by time I had gained a lot of experience and a lot of, I can say, maturity in what I'm doing. So I started to get back to the thirst of getting education abroad. So I started to apply for scholarships again. And I have to tell you that for this specific scholarship, I applied during COVID in 2020, and I was rejected. So again, I can just, endorse the point that Emmanuel has mentioned, that sometimes it's not your fault because there is some acceptance quota. And I think at that year, or what I learned actually, that yeah, because it's COVID and we are in a lockdown and everyone maybe lost a lot of people lost their jobs. So they would just go for, getting some education. So I think that made the number of applicants like really high at that year. And I realized that, yeah, of course, it has been very competitive to select accepted candidates. But I applied the year after and I got accepted. And of course, from every other application that I had made before, I learned a lot of things that I should avoid. And when I avoided them, when I actually touch upon my real, true passion in life, and became able to reflect this on paper, like in my writing, I think this is why I got accepted. And in that year, I got accepted in SI scholarship and also in Fulbright. But of course, the thing that made me go for SI is the program itself, because I always wanted to study it. So that's pretty much about my experience with scholarships. And now I give it back to Emmanuel again.
Thank you so much for sharing that journey. I think you highlighted key aspects. Passion, really. finding that one thing that really drives you. I think that's very important for the people on the call. Emmanuel, I'll go back to you. Tell us briefly, what is the SI scholarship? What is this scholarship really?
Oh, thank you very much, Emmanuel and Rasha, for sharing your story. Really fascinating to hear that. Yeah, the SI scholarship, as most of us here might have read about it, it's a Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals, SISGP, and is a fully funded scholarship to study in a master's program here in Sweden. And I think it covers roughly most or all of the universities, but then you could see the list of accepted universities in the website, si.se. So the scholarship generally, I think about 42, now 41 countries are eligible to apply for this scholarship. And yeah, it's a great platform to build network with professionals and to further your career professionally. So there are lots of opportunities and lots of things included in the scholarship that verbally I can't mention right now, but you would find everything in detail right there in the website si.se. So what's included in this scholarship? It's really amazing. I tell you, it's fully funded. Your tuition, your living expenses, and your traveling costs, everything, all the expenses on the Swedish Institute. And yeah, there's a list of courses that you should apply to that has been published on the website that yeah, you have to look at. So that's what I can say in short about the SI scholarship. Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Emmanuel. For many of us who are preparing to apply for the scholarship, and there are four key documents that we need to prepare to apply for the scholarship when it opens on the 12th of February. And between 12th of February to the 28th of Feb, when the SI scholarship opens and closes. So Emmanuel and Rasha are going to share with us how to prepare award-winning documents, which include the CV, the reference letters, the motivation letters, the leadership and work experience. And I will start with Rasha. Rasha, kindly share with us how does someone really prepare an award-winning motivation letter and the leadership and work experience for the SI scholarship?
Yes, that's a very important question. And yeah, from the many applications that I submitted throughout my life, of course, I learned a lot of things, but I have to say that for SI, it was like, I don't know, maybe for me, it was a little bit easier because there are, yeah, some many documents, but you have to, first of all, for these two documents, it wasn't, or for the work proof itself, it wasn't so problematic because you have to look at the program that you're applying for. And it would be best if you're someone like me who maybe have done like multifaceted or have undertaken multifaceted roles before. And as you can see from my life journey, maybe they are not all related to one another. So I had to pick the recent experiences that I undertook and the most relevant to my program that I'm applying for, or the programs, of course, because you get to choose up to four programs, okay, for masters. So you have to contact, your references beforehand and ask them for cooperating with you in these documents. And I was amazed that some of my contacts were even, so trusting that they let me write my own reference letters, and they just signed and stamped them. So that was very good. Maybe I've been lucky, but in other cases, communication is very good. You have to establish this communication from early on. For the work proof, it's not so difficult. You just have to, I think some countries have to show that you have worked at least like for 3,000 hours. You have to provide a proof for that. And a little description of your roles in these work experiences. The other thing was the leadership proof, which some of you may know already that it looks a little bit similar to the work proof. But I have to tell you something, guys. I also I have like some experience doing a lot of community and charity work. So I used one of those experiences in my work proof as well, because it was also very recent. So it gives you up to three different work experiences or three different organizations that you get endorsement from to prove that you've worked for these hours. So it could be a combination of like profitable organization or non-profitable organization or professional work, I mean, or voluntary work. So these two criteria are acceptable. And for the leadership proof, of course, as it's mentioned on the website now, that they prefer if it's you can prove that you have taken a professional role from your work where you get to practice, leadership. Of course, that's preferred, as mentioned in the acceptance criteria on the website. Yeah, again, guys, you really need to read carefully every word on the website, because believe me, at times I would modify things before the deadline, like few minutes before the deadline, just because I skipped that, I haven't seen it, So you really need to read everything carefully. So of course, also your reference have to provide like a little description of how this role involves leadership skills. In my case, my role as a teacher actually was acceptable as a proof of leadership, because being an educator or a teacher at school or at university or whatever level of education involves a lot of proactivity, coaching, mentorship, and so on. So try as much as you can to think. You don't have to have worked as, a manager before or a team leader before, all right? But you have to prove, and your reference should sign on that yes, your role involved maybe coaching people, maybe making proactive thinking, or making decisions at a certain point, or thinking innovatively, to solve a problem at work. And yeah, your involvement in the civil society is very important here. As you can see, you can use it for your work proof and your leadership proof. To be honest, it's always, it says on the application that you should use experience from work to prove that you've been a leader before. But also, I know some people who got accepted and they proved that through their involvement in society work and charity work. It all depends on the, whatever experience that you want to, include in your application, but you really should be careful about this. And it's all about how you present it, all right? So this is for the work and leadership proof, which wasn't actually very challenging. However, if I learned anything from the many applications that I have filled in my life, is that I really need to present my motivation and my intent and my ambition in a very objective manner and in a very solid manner. And also this one, in that particular application, guys, I mean, in other scholarships, you may find that you need to provide a long essay. But here, there are a limited number of characters here that you should use. And that makes it a little bit more difficult. So just break it down into few, parts. First of all, you really, in that particular text that you want to write, you need to provide a compelling introduction, okay? And it's always best. Here, you need to explain why do you want to be accepted in this scholarship, and how will it help you, in doing something to your country when you are done with it. Here, you want to give a compelling introduction, or in the approach that I followed is that I talked about a real world problem, okay, that it has to do with something my country faces, and also my competencies and my experience, and the program that or the theme of the programs that I'm choosing will help fill in this gap, or solve this problem, at least in my local community, right? And you need to mention in the next paragraph or the next line or two how this fueled you with aspiration and motivation to contribute to the solution to this problem. Okay. And you have also to match it, or to be very convincing that this is very much linked to the area of interest that you're seeking to develop through the master's program that you're applying for. And then you really need to prove or give ideas or impression that you're not just gonna learn this thing, yeah, this is how the problem is going to be solved. Well, now, how are you going to spread the love? Like, are you gonna be involved in knowledge sharing channels? Are you gonna maybe work on the development of your own network, do something to your local community that is involves the utilization of all the expertise and knowledge, not just the knowledge, the professional knowledge that you will have gained after this master's, but also the global perspective. Okay, how will this help you improve, or contribute to the improvement of your local community, and hence your profession, and in your country in general. So, to be honest with you, if I ever been rejected before in any scholarship, I think it was because of that part. I didn't really represent myself so well in that part. And as I told you, I would go either like too unrealistic, like I'm gonna change the whole world, or like a little bit desperate to be accepted. So here you really need to be very objective, balanced, but at the same time very convincing. So keep trying and be genuine, because only when you are genuine, I think the reader will believe you and will think that, yeah, this is a person who really deserves a chance. And my advice nowadays, refrain from using ChatGPT or Gen AI tools, because now we can tell, yeah, this is kind of like, not a genuine text. So just write whatever you feel like, whatever is, you really need to be in a very, I don't know, like you need to be very relaxed. You need to write down a lot of drafts, okay? And then you need to go to your happy place and write this kind of text if you really want to sound genuine and, stand a good chance in your acceptance. So yeah, this is all about, or this is my advice to you if you want to, like stand out in your application while preparing for these two important documents. Okay, over to
Yes.
you again, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Russia, for sharing with us, especially how to prepare these two key documents. Really, you highlighted key aspects, and I know the people on the call must have been taking note. Before Emmanuel comes in, I'm just gonna follow up with just one or two questions. I want you to again really emphasize, do I need to be a manager, or do I, because some people may be like, okay, I've not been a manager, I've not been a coordinator, I've not been in that kind of role. How do I portray myself as a leader while applying for this scholarship? Just to clarify that.
Yeah, of course. Because this is something that I have been that has been bothering me, because I have taken like a team leading role before, but it was like many, many years ago, Well, I'm not that old, but I mean, it wasn't like a recent experience. So it was bothering me because the problem was that it would be very difficult for me to reach out to this manager that I used to work, under as a team leader. So instead, I looked at the application, I looked at the requirements, and I found that I don't have to be a manager, but I should be in a role where I get to direct people, or even just self-direct myself, because being a leader involves a lot of things. Yeah, being a teacher made it a little bit easy for me, but you have to look at your job description very, very thoroughly. Like, yeah, what I am doing right now, or maybe before, like 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago, that involved me being responsible for something or taking care of something, leading things or leading some people, making decisions, maybe reporting about something that I get to evaluate myself. So here I need to have some problem solving skills, some critical thinking, some proactivity. So if you find that whatever you have been doing involves or entails some kind of a person who would take initiative, who would make change, okay, especially a positive change, then I really think you need to pick this one role or experience and highlight it in these few lines where you get to describe how this is a leading role, and just present it and be confident about it. Well, I hope I answered
So
you.
much. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Really, that's important. And I'll just pick up one last point.
Sure.
What about you mentioned something about working with civil society organizations,
Yeah.
which is very important. And there might be someone here wondering, well, it's not so clear for me. It doesn't look like I've really worked so closely with a civil society organization or that kind of charity work. I mean, what kind of things can someone think about more in depth as they want to showcase that kind of leadership or experience?
Well, I would say, for example, something like what you're doing right now, Emmanuel. Here, you are using your network to spread some knowledge and to help others maybe improve themselves, upskill themselves. This is something you're doing for the community, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're working for the UN or something, or, maybe it could be something as simple as planting, trees or greeneries, anywhere in the world. It has to be something where you actually make difference, right? So just think about, because I think during our university time or our bachelor studying, maybe we were involved in some, how can I say that, like communities inside the university, and maybe we were helping students, even just organizing trips or something like that. That could be something that you're doing for the welfare of your colleagues, okay? So don't underestimate anything that you have done in your free time for free. Even if it was for fun, it would still count as civil work as long as there is a goal behind it. And again, use it and try to write it down, but genuinely, okay, to emphasize how did you contribute to the people around you? How did that, enabled you to make positive change, in the community where you were in. So yeah, just look at your track records of things that you've done. Even being a participant, you don't have to be the person who actually moves everything around them. No, you could be just a team member and you contribute it with other team members in something else, in something that is beneficial. Maybe you were just helping your colleagues at the university to pass exams by, studying together or making studying groups. I think you just never estimate anything that you've done during this time of your life, because I know that some people, when they start their professional career, they don't have time anymore, to give back to the society, right? So just think about it like this. And I don't know, maybe some people can even, because nowadays we have a lot of influencers, all over the social media. So if you're one of those who just open their cameras and try to say positive things to the people, on a regular basis, I think that would also count as, giving back to the society.
Thank you so much for really elaborating that. I think that's so clear for many of you on the call. You don't have to be part of really a very structured kind of organization. But what's really important, as Rasha has shared, is the spirit of the kind of work that you're doing, that trying to make that positive change, that positive impact. So there will be definitely many things when you reflect within
Yeah.
yourself, you will
The only
find,
trick here is just to be able to prove this,
yeah,
from, a legitimate person, because again, we need some signature and some stamps. So just think, look around and see how you would be able to prove this. There are many ways, I think.
okay. Thank you so much. I'll move fast. We shall come back to you, Rasha, later. I'll go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, would you like to share with us about the other two documents, that key documents that one would need for the SI scholarship? That's the CV as well as
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Each time Rasha says Emmanuel, I think I'm the one she's referring to. Okay, Rasha, that was really a comprehensive response. I must say, you covered most of the things I would want to reemphasize while presenting this document. Again, permit me to share my screen. And there's a slide I added in my presentation that might be a bit off, but I'll just mention it anyway. I should have mentioned it from the introduction. So you just know that graduate school is very challenging. I think I can't remember anyone telling me this before moving to Sweden, but I tell you, it's really challenging. So you're taking that step to do a master's, maybe in Sweden or elsewhere. Have this at the back of your mind that it's really challenging and it require a lot of commitment. And it's not all bed of roses. I've had my challenges here, my difficult times, but I'm happy that I was able to surmount most of them. So back to the documents for the Swedish Institute Scholarship. Rashada has covered the motivation letter and the proof of work and leadership experience. And also another thing you would need to submit is the, is a photocopy of your valid passport or national ID card. So I'll just touch briefly on the CV and reference letters. One of the key reasons why people miss out on winning scholarship is they fail to represent themselves in the manner they ought to. And most of the time, to be very honest, I've seen people who have done so many things and have profile that is even that I can't compare mine to theirs, but then they still struggle to win the scholarship. And I say within myself, if only I have the kind of profile this person has and have done just half of what this person has done, I don't think I will struggle so much. And the conclusion of this is that they fail to present their self properly in their document. So how to make your application stand out for the Swedish Institute Scholarship or any scholarship at all is very important that you start early. So this will buy you some time to edit and reflect on your document. I told you when I applied for the Chevening Scholarship, I wasn't surprised that I was invited for the interview because it took me 2 months to write those 4 essays. And every day I reflect on these essays and I made changes even close to the deadline. So it's important that you start early while preparing for scholarship, the Swedish Institute Scholarship. And Also, your essay needs to be well structured. So here, just maximize online resources, YouTube, LinkedIn. There are so many scholars out there that have been sharing their story. I use those to improve my essays. So your essays needs to be well structured. And the structure I always use for my essays, most of my writing style is the STAR L approach. Now it stands for situation, task, action, and result. And if you like, you can finally add the lesson you've learned from that experience. So another thing you would want to do is to get your essays reviewed by a friend or a professional. And I would want you to stay away from hype men, people that will just read your essays and they're just all wow, 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 and won't give you a constructive feedback. Yeah, I had friends like that. They, after reading my essays, were just like, wow, you mean you did all of this and I didn't get any constructive feedback. So you want to be mindful of the people you give to review your essays. Give to persons that will be truthful enough and really criticize your essays is very important. So take up voluntary roles and leadership roles. That's really important to build your profile. And Russia has touched on that. So I won't go deep into that. Now, another thing I failed to mention is what the Swedish Institute Scholarship is all about. I tell you, see here on red, it's all about the UN SDGs. That's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If you don't know about this, you should go on Google and type UN SDGs and read about this. And if you've been filling the document, you would see that the UN SDGs has been repeated time and again in the document. That's because that's what the scholarship is all about. So another thing you would want to be mindful of is plagiarism. You don't want to plagiarize because if you do, I think that the system can automatically detect that, and it's a really punishable offense. And also, those that are fond of using AI, I would say you should be careful. Nowadays, they can really detect if this is really coming from a human or just an AI tool. So I would talk about the CV and how to fill the CV. Permit me to. Okay. So just give me a moment, please. Can you still see my screen, or I stopped sharing?
I think
Okay.
it's coming on. It's not yet.
All right. Okay, here
Not
it is now.
yet.
It's
Yes, yes, we have it.
Can you see it
Maybe
now?
you try to increase the size so
The size.
it can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Those of us
Yes.
using
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
Okay. So to winning the to win the Swedish Institute Scholarship, it's also important that you read instructions. If you can't read instructions, I tell you it will be very difficult for you to win the scholarship. One thing I did was to read through the website over and over and over and over again. And if you notice, most of the documents, there are instructions that are there for you to read and follow. I won't read everything here because I believe you have them already. For those of us that are applying already, you get this document from si.se, the website. So you notice that I highlighted some text in red. So your CV should contain relevant information. That is important. You must not alter the format of the CV. And here you can add entries to the CV. You can add entries, but not on the work experience. I think the work experience should just be 3. So you have like 3 entries there already. You don't need to add anything to that. Meanwhile, you can add entries to the civil network and civil society organization part. If you look at that section, there are just 3 roles. During my application, I added up to 5. And Russia mentioned a lot of things that I would also reemphasize that you don't have to belong to a very big, large NGO to count it as a civil society organization. I tell you, I was very involved in student union activities during my bachelor's, and I used lots of that. So I was also, those of us that are actively involved in fellowships, and you could be a religious body and you did something that benefited the community. It's something you can also add to your CV on that role. Okay, I'll come to that. So all entries should be in reverse chronological order, by starting from the most recent. And it's important that your CV should not exceed 3 pages. So the first page of it, your personal information, that's straightforward. You just fill in your personal information. And here that says replace with dates, also straightforward, just put the dates there. So it's a template for you to just follow to fill in your details. And I will tell you that you shouldn't fill this in carelessly. The content of what you fill in here is very important. So here it says replace with occupation or position held. I said replace with employer's name. For instance, maybe you're a marketing coordinator, the position held, you can put it there, marketing coordinator. Replace with employer's name. What's the name of your organization? You can put it here and add the website if you have one. So this part that says replace with your main tasks and responsibilities. Here, what I would do while filling this, I wouldn't just put my responsibilities or say this like my day-to-day activity. I don't know, maybe I work in the office. I could just say I feel or I take in register, those casual activities that you do. I won't put that there. What I would do personally is I would use action words and really articulate my achievement in this role. I'll show you an example here. If I were a marketing coordinator and I want to fill it in a CV, right? This is how I'll represent. For instance, I'm not into marketing. I'm a scientist. So I'm just giving an instance. Here, I would mention my achievement, and at the same time, it's like you still mentioning your activities in that position. A marketing coordinator, you will notice here that I followed a structure, the STAR approach, but then I excluded the situation because it needs to be short. So here I said, developed and implemented a targeted social media strategy, ran targeted ads, and engaged with the online community, which resulted in a 30% increase in social media engagement, enhanced brand visibility, and customer interaction. The next one is launched successful email marketing campaign by crafting personalized content and optimized email delivery times, resulting in a 25% increase in open rates, a 15% rise in conversion rate, and overall revenue growth. You can see how articulate that is. So that's what I expect, what I'll do personally when filling the work experience on my CV. And this part that say replace with the industry, what sector is it? Is it manufacturing? Is it finance? Is it oil and gas? You put it there. And here, there's a drop down button, don't miss that. You see why I say it's all about this SDGs. You see we have like 17 of them. So you pick the one that is closely related to the SDG, the task for that position you have. You pick the SDG that is most related. So you do this for the three columns sections you have on the work experience. If you don't have up to 3, that's fine. It's important that you have at least 3,000 hours of work experience. That's part of the criteria. We didn't mention it here, but assume that you already know that. Please go through the website and read the instructions for yourself. It's very important. The next section is the education and training. So here you want to list all courses and training. Could it be online courses? And I would want to put things that are relevant to my work experience. If you can, make your CV, your leadership and work experience, your motivation letter. If you can make everything aligned to something. During my time, it was on climate action and renewable energy. So all of my documents was just pointing towards climate action and renewable energy, and I emphasized it in most of the fields where I had to fill in some of these. So putting courses that are relevant that you've taken and your bachelor's degree, your high school. Here it says replace with education, training, or organization name, you put that there, and the list of principal subjects that are relevant. So you just put that there, and yeah. And on this education and training session, you can add fields. I did that, and I had like 5 or more. And yeah, very important, that civil society engagement. This part, I took it very seriously, I must say. Here you have just 3 sections, and I was able to provide up to 5. And you must not provide up to 5. You can provide maybe 2 or even 1 concrete experience. That will do. So this part, if I remember, one of the things I did during my bachelor's was I organized and I led a study group. So I was taking tutorials for 4 consecutive academic sessions. So I used that here, and yeah, I can't remember the title I used, but what's important is that if you're using it as your reference letter, I'll get to that. You have to provide 2 references. One must come from work experience. And if you read closely, they said it is a merit if the second reference can come from civil society engagement. So if you can get a reference from civil society, your second reference from civil society engagement, please do. That would be a plus. But otherwise, if you don't have, you can make do with what you have. So he said, replace with your main tasks and responsibility. I'll do the same thing with what I did in my work experience field here. So describe the organization, what is it all about, and how many members. You put that in short. And please, I would say, be mindful of the pages. You have just 3 pages maximum. So this part is very important. So this is the area where I advise you use the STAR approach in full, where it says brief description of one achievement you accomplished within the network and organization. I was really happy filling this field, because my Chevney essays were there already. So I had to cut out words just to fit into that place. I tell you, it's really amazing when you can amplify what you've done, not to exaggerate, of course, but then to present it in a catchy way. So this is an example of the Star L. For instance, I'm a marketing coordinator, right? So you want to write in short. Please don't break it the way I broke it. I just want you to see the Star L approach: situation, task, action, result. It shouldn't be broken in step like this. It should just be like a 1 paragraph response. Yeah. So here I identified the inefficiencies in project management workflows. That was the situation. So what was the task? Led the initiative to streamline processes and improve team collaboration. What was the action? I implemented project management tools, conducted training sessions, and established clear communication channels. And what was the result? The result was I reduced project turnaround time by 20%, resulting in increased productivity and client satisfaction. So you have to merge everything together in like an essay, right? Don't break it the way I did here. So I think that will be very, very efficient if you can do that. And if you have lessons you learned from that experience, you can as well add it there. So I go back to the CV. Oops. Okay. Yeah. So you would notice that they say brief description of one main achievement you accomplished within the network organization. And here they said, describe the outcome with concrete data statistics supporting the outcome. So it's just what I did from that illustration I've given. So here it says, choose the SDG most related to the work you did at this position. So here you have a drop-down button and you can pick the one that is closely related. So you do this for the remaining fields. You have up to 4, 5, 6. Add it as long as your CV doesn't exceed 3 pages. So the last part of it is previous scholarships and awards. Yeah, here you want to mention if you've won any scholarship or award, could be Employee of the Year award, just put it there. If it has a monetary value, you can put it there. And yeah, put the date and yeah. And also it said replace with type of studies. Yeah, if it was, if it has to do with academics, any award of any sort you've had before, just add it here. And of course, you can still add fields to this section if you have up to 4, 5, 2, 3, whatever. But what's important is that your CV is 3 pages maximum, and excluding the instruction page. So I'll just rush quickly. Oh, I'm talking too much already. I'll just rush quickly to the reference letter. And yeah, Rasha mentioned something while I'm talking about the work experience. She said she had the privilege to fill the reference letter herself. Now, depending on the relationship you have with your referee, that would be a plus for you. But one thing I would say is, please work closely with whoever will be filling your reference letter. Before you give your reference letter to anyone, I will tell you to ask the person if he or she has time to provide a good recommendation letter for you. Be sincere and honest with that person, because I tell you, all documents, of course, for this scholarship, they are very important, as well as the letter of reference. And yeah, who can provide letter of reference? You read through this instruction page. It's so long, I can't read it here. You can give your HR to do that, and I know questions will pop up about this. You can put it in the comment section. We'll talk about that and during question and answer session. And yeah, read through the instructions is very, 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 very important. And it's just straightforward. Your referee needs to feel this. But like I said, you have to be meticulous when arranging your document. Look closely what your referee has filled in to make sure they do it right. And I'll say that these questions here that were asked, is important that your referee takes time to give detailed response about this, about you, because they need to also show that you are a worthy candidate, right, for this position. So you can make a draft if you'd like, and if they would permit, make a draft, take your time to make a draft so they have something to work on and to improve. Most of them don't know what the scholarship is all about, but you can make a draft and just make them have something to work with. So you're not just filling it just to submit the application. So it's important to, time won't permit me to speak in details about these questions, but I would say it's important that you follow the STAR approach to fill this. And this section that said additional remarks, and in brackets it says optional, you'll be tempted to leave it blank, but personally, I wouldn't do that. I have to, your referee needs to fill in something like shows that they're really enthused about you getting the scholarship. And yeah, it just tells a lot. So I will stop here, and you need to submit, like I said, 2 recommendation letters. It is a merit if, first of all, one must come from work experience. Now, it is a merit if the second recommendation letter comes from your civil society and engagement. Yeah, and also from the work experience, proof of work and leadership experience. I think if you read the instruction closely too, they said something like it is a merit to if your leadership experience can come from your proof of leadership can come from your work experience. Please pay attention to these details. They're very important, and no one can do that for you. I tell you, I spent so much time reading the website over and over and over and over again, and I was able to get those little minute details right. So that would help you a lot. So I will hand it over to Emmanuel, and yeah, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for giving us that guidance, really. Very detailed. Thank you so much. I see Russia's hand is up. Yes, Russia, you'd go and then I'll, yeah.
Yeah, just a little clarification because maybe what I said was a bit misleading, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, I really had amazing relationship to my references. But yeah, the response was like, yeah, just write whatever you want and we will, you know, sign it. No problem at all. But, you know, actually what happened is that I insisted that they have their own input because as Emmanuel just said, you know, what I did is just I give them some pointers, like some
Yeah.
headlines. I really need these things to be, you know, evident in your writing, please. Because there is something here that we should consider. If you write your own reference letters, of course, if you fill in these forms and then, you know, your manager comes and, you know, sign without you noticing, you will be doing something terrible to yourself because it will be so evident that both references are written by the same person. Believe me, there is a committee here that goes through the applications, you know, and there's a panel that reads the applications, and of course they can decide and then they can pinpoint these things. So yeah, of course you can give some pointers to the references that you are using, but be sure that they write in their own style because otherwise it will be just, you know, detected. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I think, yeah, I think those are some things someone can underlook when they're preparing the 2 references. And I mean, someone can see the flow that it's actually from the same style of writing. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. I just want to follow up, Emmanuel, with some quick questions. You highlighted about how someone should tie themselves to a particular theme throughout, you know, their writing. If you're addressing maybe climate change or health or a particular problem in marketing or management, throughout the documents, it's good that they try to tie themselves to that theme, really. I think that was so important. And then the star approach, guys, if you don't still understand what the star approach, I might have to question if you're really ready for a scholarship. Just Google that and really download documents. I remember I had to print documents about what the star approach is. So my quick question to you, Emmanuel, is you talked about the reference later, and then earlier on, Russia talked about the leadership, and then now we have the work experience. If I'm submitting this particular set of documents, say the reference, work experience, and maybe leadership, proof of leadership and proof of work, can this one person in this organization sign and maybe stamp all these 3 for this one set? Is that okay?
Yeah, if I get your question correctly, you're talking of proof of work
Yeah.
and proof of leadership
Leadership,
experience.
yes. Yeah.
If one person can sign,
Yeah.
I think that's possible. For instance, the HR to sign the proof of work and the leadership experience. And if you read the instructions, I think they address that as well. So it's possible for the HR to sign the proof of work and leadership experience and even write a letter of recommendation for you. So that's possible.
Okay, thank you. And another question I see from the chat, many members talking about, oh, where do we find this template? I know all this information is really, but what would you really like to add on to that? Where can one find these templates that you just...
Yeah. The SI scholarship, it's I think one thing I really love about the scholarship is that it's not vague. They don't hoard information, and everything you need to know about the scholarship is on the website si.se. There you would also find the template for all the documents. I would say go through the website over and over and over again, and you would learn a lot of things for yourself. And the documents, they're all there on the website.
Yes, thank you so much. I know there were so many questions in the chat. Russia, are there some particular ones you would like to address, or I can...
Well, I think yes, some questions I already answered.
Yeah.
Please feel free to throw any question on me right now.
Yes, so
I've really been following up. Yeah.
yes. So one question from Rachel was, if I'm currently not employed, currently I was maybe employed, but my contract expired, and
Mm.
how do I navigate applying for this scholarship? Can I use my former employer to as a reference and sign my documents?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as I remember, there isn't like limit on the like how many years back was this job experience that you're sharing. I don't think there is some such limitation because yeah, I think as I mentioned during the COVID, there were some people who had already lost their jobs and they applied. Some people that I actually know, and it was highlighted in their CV that they have been unemployed for some time, and yet they got accepted. So I don't think this should be a problem, but just make sure that you provide, because let me just tell you something, guys. Here in Sweden, in those kind of things, they are so accurate. And I don't think we should like highlight this fact enough, as Emmanuel always mentions, and as I always mention, just go through every single instruction because they love it so much when you are adhering to everything. So it doesn't really matter if you're unemployed at the moment, but what matters is that you tick all the boxes. You provided enough work experience, okay, from your past experiences. Doesn't matter to be, it doesn't have to be a current one that you're actually like working on or working for right now. What matters is just you provide the amount of hours required for, an experience or work proof. And you just follow everything and you just present everything as clear as possible and as concise as possible. Because if you remember, I mentioned that, yes, this kind of application is so concise, is the most concise application that I have gone through. Some other applications, they actually require you to write many essays. But here it's short, concise, and to the point is the key. So I think you stand a chance only if you just, adhere to all the requirements.
Thank you for highlighting that. Um, Members, you can raise your hand and ask your question directly. You can raise your hand and I or Mark can unmute you to allow you ask your question, and then the panelists will be able to respond. So we encourage you to really take advantage, really. I don't want to say advantage, but take the opportunity to learn as much as you can as you prepare your application ahead of the 12th of Feb to 28th of Feb. Yes. As we wait onto the questions, I'll ask you.
Sorry, Emmanuel. Oh, is someone speaking? Sorry.
It's Emmanuel. You could go.
Okay, I just saw a question on the chat that I wanted to address. Someone said the template will be on the Swedish Institute website once scholarship application starts on 12th February. Please, it has been there since last year. The template and everything has been published. So yeah, you should be filling them already. And yeah, just go through the website. You would find it there.
Yes, and there is another question regarding the letter of motivation. I think there, as far as I remember, it used to be a character limit, not word limits. So that's why you really have to be careful with an economic in your words, which is a little bit tricky, but it's doable.
Okay. Then my kind of work is this is to you, Rasha, still. So my kind of work is more of a freelancer where I'm not really specifically attached to any particular organization, or I employ myself. For example, I run a company. How do I go around the proof of work and proof of leadership in that instance?
Well, I believe freelancers also stand a chance, but again, are you able to prove that? Or is there anyone who would? I think there are. If you work freelancer, then you work on contract based or part-time basis. So if you can reach out to someone in that place or company or organization that you conducted some work for, just ask them to acknowledge your number of working hours there. So again, you still have like 3 different work experiences from which you can collect these hours. And for the company owners, I think it also applies. As far as I remember, yeah, if you have your own business, perhaps, again, if you read in the instructions of every single document and template, because what's really amazing is that there are also instructions inside the templates, right? Some people disregard them and just scroll, till they find the spaces that they need to fill in. But believe me, do not do that, because also, if you want to do masters, guys, you should read everything, not just scan it, right? If you want to be like uh, eligible for scholarships and like the straight A student, then you really should read every single word. It really counts, okay? They are not just there for, filling a space. No, they are there for a reason. So, and again, Swedish people appreciate those who pay attention to details. And this is sometimes, as I was saying, I fell in this trap before. Too enthusiastic and too desperate to be accepted. So I would just, yeah, let me just type and write. And then what I wrote was just a waste of time. So yeah, there is a condition for those who have their own business. And you can find it in that particular template. I don't recall exactly what they should do, but I believe they should provide a proof to the establishment of this company and maybe the register number and stuff like that. And Emmanuel, if you have any idea about this, then back me up here. Well, now, Emmanuel, if I'm saying your name correctly, I'm sorry. Because yeah, I understand now that I need to know how to address you both differently. So second name basis, perhaps.
Emmanuel, are you
We-
trying to speak? Looks like we can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah. Emmanuel, I think we can't hear you. We shall get back to you, Emmanuel. We shall get back to you, I think, as we hand it off. But yes, thank you so much, Rasha, for sharing. Solomon, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Yes, hello everyone. You can hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead, Solomon.
Yes, thank you, Rasha, for the presentation. Thank you, Emmanuel, for the presentation as well. We really appreciate the time you've taken to share with us. I'll go straight to the point. I have two questions. One is with regard to work experience. As you might have noticed, some people have put it in the chat, but does internship qualify as work experience? Because most of us don't have that much work experience since we graduated like 2 or 3 years back. So most of us have been doing like internship programs here and there. And then the next question is to do with the application process. When I checked the website just a while back, it showed that the application is supposed to be done to the university separate, and also for the scholarship application, it's also separate. Could you please clarify on that? What is the exact process? Is it you apply for the scholarship as well as the university on the same portal, or you apply for the university admission first, then the scholarship afterwards? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Emmanuel, would you like to answer those two questions? One is about internship, the application process, and then applying to SI. Emmanuel? I think we can't hear you, Emmanuel.
Can I help?
A bit, and we lost you.
It's Mark. I'm just saying, can I help out? Because my hand was up for a while.
Okay, it's okay.
Yes. All right. Super. Thank you, everyone who has joined in today. I can help out with the last question. I'm trying to share my screen here as well. Yeah. If you want to apply for the SI, for the SI scholarship, you need to first have applied to university admissions. I'm trying to see if yes. Oh yeah, you're okay. Sharing my screen. I don't know if my screen can be seen, but you need to have applied through university admissions. If you can see on my screen, they say apply for master programs. Unfortunately, if you haven't applied by now, I mean, the last date to apply to university admissions was on the 15th of January. So if you haven't yet applied through university admissions, I don't think you will qualify to apply for the SI scholarship, because even if you go in for the late courses, if you look at the days and dates for the last late application, they are taking you all the way down to June, and yeah, dates and deadlines. If you look at the dates and deadlines for the autumn semester, application opened on the 16th of October and closed on the 15th of January. And on the 1st of February, you had to have submitted in all your supporting documents and paid the application fee. So they really expect to release the results at least the 21st of March. And I think your SI scholarship has to be in correlation or in sync with university admissions. Because I mean, if you're applying for a scholarship, you're applying to which program, and to which university. So you have to have at least And if you look at the dates for the letter, I don't think you'll be able to make these dates, as you can see on the website. Yeah. So I saw that question coming up a lot, so I had to try and come in and maybe clarify. I don't know, maybe there's something else I've missed out. Then Emmanuel, you can take it on. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really, really sorry for the technical challenge. I don't know, I haven't experienced this before. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, Mark, I think you've mentioned what needs to be mentioned. So by now, this stage of the application, you need to have already applied through the university. And yeah, the deadline is passed already, is in stages. And first you apply to university admissions, and then select like 4 schools, and you applied for the scholarship separately through the Swedish Institute website. Yeah, I think you covered everything from the question asked. I don't know if other questions were asked while I was away. Please let me know if I need to come in.
Okay, I think yeah, answered. So Solomon has their hand up again, but just to clarify, colleagues, the application window for the universities, okay, the 2 things, SI, scholarship, and then the university admission for the program that you want to apply for. So that was open until 15th of January. Yeah. So the people that will benefit mostly from this are those preparing to apply for the SI scholarship. So that opens on the 12th of Feb and closes on the 28th of Feb. I hope that's clear for members on the call. Yeah. So there is a question from Patricia, and does appearing on TV show someone, does it count as network or civil society work? So she's explaining how she once hosted a TV show inspiring girls and been building careers in tech. Russia, would you want to go for this?
Okay, well, that's a good question, Patricia. I think, well, to be on TV is something, but I think the purpose why you appeared on TV is so important. And I think this is what you really need to emphasize or, highlight in your CV. So maybe you did this as part of a certain project that you worked on. So perhaps you can put all the most of the stress, on the purpose of or your participation actually in that program, and maybe you can mention it as a side note that you had like a significant impact on the local community, that you appeared on TV or something. But I would say consider this as an experience, but just try to highlight it in a way that highlights the project that you worked on and your role there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important. So just to add to that, I think it's not just about even belonging to a group, and it's just like Rasha said, it's based on what you did in that group. Because I see a question of someone asking that, okay, can she use like a church engagement as part of, I don't know if I read it right, but part of civil society engagement. It's not just about the office you occupy, but then what did you do in that role? What did you achieve? Is it something that's in line with the Swedish, the UN Sustainable Development Goal, and what impact was it? I think that's more important than just belonging to a group.
Hey, thank you on that. I think there's still questions really about the two things I can still see in the chat about
can I clarify on that again, if you don't mind?
yes. Maybe Emmanuel, since Mark, you tried to express it, maybe we can have Emmanuel clarify, add a voice to what you've already said, and then we'll come back to you, Mark. Emmanuel, could you clarify on the application window, the deadlines? I still see people in the chat don't seem to find that clear.
Oh, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really keep up with the specific date and specific deadlines, but it's on the website. So this is how it works. I think now it starts with the university admissions application, because first you have to apply to university admissions. It's a centralized system. Thank you. Someone is sharing the screen. It's a centralized system where all applications goes to. So there you have the opportunity to select up to 4 courses and universities. So that alone has its list of deadlines, when to select these courses and when to submit relevant documents. You can see the application round opens on 16th October 2023. That was last year. So application deadline plus last date to rank your courses. So since you are selecting 4 courses from 4 different universities or the same universities, you have to rank them before January 15th. That's what it means. So you must have initiated your application and have ranked your courses accordingly in order of priority before 15th January. So the next deadline there is 1st February, where you need to pay your application fee. That is like 900 SEK and Swedish crowns. So the application must have, I think the deadline is passed already because it's 1st February. So they must receive the application between 1st February, and also the deadline to document fee and exempt status. That's for the EU. So also that's 1st February, you must have submitted your supporting documents. So it depends on country. I don't know how it works for Uganda. In Nigeria, your school, your institution where you got your bachelor's degree has to forward the transcripts either by post or by email. So there is an email on that university admissions website that they can send the transcript to. For people from Nigeria, I don't know. For people from Ghana, I don't know if Uganda, they can upload their transcripts themselves. And that you must have done before 1st of February. And every other document you need to upload. If your school is requesting for statement of purpose, your ID and your passport and some other supporting documents, you must have submitted those before 1st of February. And now, after that, I think you don't have any other thing to do than to wait until 21st of March, where the admissions would be announced. Now, I would mention that it's important that how do they give the admission? The first give you based on how you rank your courses. So, for instance, if you apply to chemistry as your first choice, maybe Uppsala University, they'll first consider that application. And if you're granted admission, every other selection that follows would be deleted, right? So if you don't qualify for your first priority, they might place you on reserve there, skip, and the next priority, which is the second, would consider you for admission, and they might admit you while the first choice places you on reserve. So I think what you should do, if your second priority or your third priority, to get to the third priority, to get admission from the third priority, it means two things. Either you were not admitted by your first and second priority, or you were placed on reserve for your first and second priority. So what you should do is, if your third priority has given you admission, delete the first and second priority. Now, the effect of this is the SI would only consider those who get admitted on, what is it stated there? That's the first round of admission when it is published. That is that is 21st of March. So if you don't get admitted by 21st of March, you wouldn't be considered for the SI scholarship. So they will exclude you. I think this was what happened during our time, and that some people that were placed on reserve didn't get the admission. Somehow they got the SI scholarship, and I don't know, it was an error from SI. They had to pull down the list because they stated clearly that you must have gotten admitted by 21st of March. So some people were placed on reserve. Maybe later on they were considered for the admission, because if you are placed on reserve, it means that some people will still deny their place, and then you could get admitted after, for instance, 21st of March. So in that case, if you have any reserve place and you've been given admission for the subsequent priorities, delete all reserve places and just let the other admission stand. So that is very important, because if you miss the admission by 21st March, that disqualifies you for the SI scholarship. And it's important that you brought up these questions. I wasn't sure to what extent you guys knew about this. That was why I didn't include in my presentation. So yeah, if you need further clarification or Russia has anything to add, you can go on.
Yes, I mean, Emmanuel, you said it all, actually. Thank you so much for that, because on the first time that I was rejected, actually, it was because of that, because the program that I really was a top priority for me, I got on the reserve list, which means I was on a waiting list or stuff like that. So, of course, my application was not, did not go through the scholarship. It was disregarded. So that actually gives us an opportunity to highlight the fact that you also need to take care of how you apply to your master's programs, okay? And how you want to rank your priorities and choices, okay? So yeah, because of course, you know, your chance to be considered, or for your application to be considered to the scholarship, is that you are accepted or admitted, you know, in one of those programs. So bear in mind that you have all the requirements, okay? Do not like waste one rank in your priorities, you know, on a program that you wouldn't actually be admitted to because you don't qualify in one of the conditions, right? So just choose the programs carefully. Make sure that you submit or upload or the required documents for the programs as well. And if there is like a statement of intent or a motivation letter that you need to attach for the application, just also be mindful about it, and be mindful about what exactly to mention in these writings as well. Okay, because let's face it, half the chance of your application to be considered is on the university admission itself. All right.
Thank you so much. That's actually key to note. You were on the reserve list, right? Yes, that's very important. So guys, it's not a straight road, really. Emmanuel already shared with us. He got on the reserve list of other scholarship, and then Russia, on this very scholarship that took her to Sweden as well, first got on the reserve list. So yeah, you have to
Don't
put in.
despair. You stand a chance next year, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much. We shall be running our last about 13 minutes or so, 15 minutes. So I'll pick questions from Chinoso, and then Raymond Sekatawa, and then Solomon, who have raised their hands. So Chinoso, Anayo, go first.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's a very nice webinar. My question is on the NGOs and civil organization. What if you are opportune to maybe in place where you are working, you hosted like a talk show or an event that helps in team building and some other thing? Can you add it as one of your as one of the things you did under the NGOs and instead of putting maybe the church religious bodies and maybe the place where you work, you hosted some kind of team building activity?
Yes, we shall
I would like
answer
to
that
come in there.
question.
Yeah.
I think let's first pick about 3 questions and then we shall respond to them in one go. Solomon, ask your question and then we'll pick Martha's question as well.
Hello. I hope I'm audible.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry for being back. A quick question regarding the issue of applying for the scholarship. Like, in case that the university that is providing a course that I'm interested in is still open for applications, do I go ahead and apply, or is it, or does it disqualify me for applying for this for the Sweden scholarship as of now, and I have to apply in the next year? Because some of the courses I'm interested in, universities are currently open for admissions. So should I continue with the process, or should I, you get? And then the other thing was regards to the second question is regards to the application fees, because we don't know, is the application fees applicable for all the courses that I'm applying for, or specifically the course that, or I have to pay application fee for each course separately? That was the other challenge that I faced, because I was trying to apply and there were issues with the application fees, and the other thing is how to pay for the application fees. Thank you so much.
Solomon asks some interesting questions. Martha, go next.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel, and the panelists. Thank you so much. I have 2 questions. The first one is, 1, can the programs be reprioritized after submissions? I applied already through university admissions, but after reading through in-depthly about each of the courses, I want to reprioritize them so that they are considered in that order for the scholarship. That's one. The second one is, how would you advise someone to write their motivational letter, including all the 4 courses that have been applied for? Yeah, I hope you understand that.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Raymond, ask your question.
Okay, my question is more like I just seek some guidance. If I've already applied before, like Russia and Emmanuel, I've applied quite a number of times. And this one time I see the question still speaking to what I actually applied for the last.
I'm sorry, Raymond, you have an echo in your background and we can't get you. You could type your question in the chat and they'll respond to that. We'll take on this set of questions first. Yes, Russia, would you like to go first? So we had a question from. So we had a question from. I'm trying to pronounce the name, but I think it must be from Nigeria. Talked about having hosted a talk show and then the team building activities, also the religious activities. Can he package them around working with a civil society organization? And maybe you could take on Solomon's question around if his university application is still open, can he still apply for the SI? Yeah, I think those two.
Well, regarding the first question, I think I will have to repeat what Emmanuel has earlier said about that. Just look at this experience, I mean, and the purpose of it. Because you get to choose specific number of these kind of experiences to include in your CV. So again, see, are they responding or reflecting the SDGs? If you're not familiar with them, I advise you to go online and look them up and maybe read them carefully on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, website. Just read them carefully and see, do you have any experience that is a reflection to these goals? And if you find this experience is really relevant, then of course, go ahead and include it. Because again, it's not just about, I mean, it could be about feeding, people who are unable to, have sustainable sources of food or something, and you're just working on that, or maybe donating of your time to distribute food and stuff like that. I think that this is something that could be, you're doing out of religious motivation, but of course, at the same time, it reflects one of the goals of the SDGs, which is, eliminating poverty or something like that. So yeah, just try to play it smart, like use your experience, even if you think that it doesn't really look like an NGO kind of work, but still, if it has the essence of the SDGs, then please go ahead and include it. The other question regarding the application process and application for the master's, well, I think if you are applying in the first round, okay, of applications, as Emmanuel, demonstrated to you, then, and you are admitted, I think this is where you stand a chance. But if you miss the first deadline, I don't think you miss a chance, because like this, you will miss the, the deadline for the scholarship. So I think your application will be disregarded. So if you miss the first deadline, then that's okay. Maybe you just need to spend the time until next year to go through your application and read it and read the instructions again and the guidelines, and just, try to make a better iteration or version of yourself, throughout this year. And yeah, my advice to you guys, if you ever don't get accepted this year, try to make sure that through until the next year comes, you want to fill the gap. Because think, what would be the reason for me not to be accepted in that program or in that scholarship? And try, if you found a gap, if you spotted a gap or two, just try to fill them in, so that next year you apply more confidently, But of course, again, remember that sometimes it has to do with statistics, because let's face it, it's a huge number of applicants and few opportunities offered, unfortunately. But yeah, so just, yeah, focus on the first round of applications to the university programs. Otherwise, then, yeah, don't spend much stress on continuing with the application, but just try to, work on improving it till next year.
Hey, thank you so much, Rasha. Emmanuel, you could take on the next questions. Can I reprioritize my programs that I applied for? And then two, how do I incorporate aspects of the 4 programs that I applied for in my motivation? Emmanuel?
Okay, thank you for those questions. I just took out time to note down some of the questions asked, because I know once they ask everything on the go, we might miss some information, right? I think Solomon also included if the application fees covers all courses. Yes, it does. Once you pay the application fee, it covers all 4 courses. And yeah, for this year's round of SI application, I think if you've not started the application process already, you can go on with it because the deadline is passed. So you just have to prepare for the next one. So Martha asks if a program can be prioritized after, is it after admissions or after the applications? At this moment, you cannot reprioritize your applications. If you do that, you would disqualify yourself, because what it means is that you will be considered for the second round of admission. And for you to miss the first round of admission disqualifies you automatically for the Swedish Institute Scholarship. Please, guys, be mindful of the deadlines. It's very, very, very important. So if you go there now and change anything on your application, it disqualifies you automatically. This is so important. Some people, like I mentioned, that got the scholarship, but later on they discovered that they didn't get admitted on the first round. They have to withdraw the list and work on it again. So be mindful of the deadlines. So she, I don't know who actually said, including, talking about out of the 4 courses. First, I would say, if you want to pick your courses, I know it's late already. I will still say it for people that would be applying for next round. Try to pick related courses, right? You won't pick geology and then pick chemistry and then pick physics for it. And then the fourth choice, you pick mathematics. I mean, it has to be related. The program, I mean, you can even pick 4 different courses in chemistry, for instance. I'm studying chemistry, but then they are totally out of place. They are not aligned, right? So for instance, I want to study materials chemistry. My first choice, I'll pick materials chemistry. And if it's a materials chemistry that is related to renewable energy, my second choice, I might pick maybe a renewable energy course. My choices was chemistry for renewable energy, Uppsala University. Second choice, chemistry, sustainable chemistry, Stockholm University. The third choice was just chemistry, right? I think Linköping, and the fourth was University of Örebro, still chemistry. But if you notice, everything was pointing towards sustainability. So in this case, you might just have to, in your motivation, pick maybe your first choice university. Now the courses are the same. So if you're motivating on the course, it's easier, right? It's easier for you to mention. Maybe in your motivation essay, you specifically want to mention the city where you will be studying. For instance, I work for Novo Energy currently, and it's a joint venture between Northvolt and Volvo Cars, right? For instance, it's located in Gothenburg, and I want to talk about the city of Gothenburg. I'm applying to University of Gothenburg or Chalmers University. I could state in my motivation essay that, yeah, it's closer to Volvo Cars, where I hope to do, maybe you want to do some internships to build some certain skills. You can think of some of those things, but just tie it around what you've applied to, and I tell you, they should align. If you can, try to align them. I know it's difficult, right? Because at some point it was really difficult to pick courses that align. If you find yourself in a situation where these courses do not align, worst case, just pick one of the courses and motivate on that. I think that will suffice. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, just remembering also that the word limit within the motivation is so really small, the character limit.
Yeah, character limits.
Yeah, so you don't want
Just
to
1,000
spread.
characters. Yeah, exactly. It was really challenging for me. I had like 10 different drafts because the character limit was just so small, you know. Yeah, be mindful of that as well.
It's funny that I used them all till the end. I had like 0 character left. Wow. Yeah.
I think just for you to emphasize that characters are different from words. And I think, I don't know, you've applied, but I think they look at characters with spaces. Is it? Yeah, but I mean, it's for the applicants really to make sure you fall
Yes,
within.
it's
Well,
with spaces. It's with spaces. So that
Yes.
makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I advise you to go, to those websites where you can write and see the number of characters left, and yeah, just work. I spend a lot of time. My tab, it was always open on my tab, that thing, because I was rewriting many, many times.
Okay, our
Guys,
last.
I would have to excuse like in 8 minutes, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry in advance. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any question before I leave.
Very last questions, John. Very brief. Very brief.
Did someone ask anything? Sorry.
Go ahead and ask Kaleo. Well, I think John and Kaleo, you could. Yes, John, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. I have a question. My question is actually a concern. Under the admission portal, they say the results will be released on 21st of March. And when you go on the SI scholarship portal, they say the deadline for submission is 28th of Feb. So my concern is how can I how can I go ahead to apply for SI scholarship when I have not yet confirmed whether I have been accepted in that particular program? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to ask Rasha just to respond to that and give your final tips, really.
Yeah.
What's your
Can I go?
tip? Okay, finally I see his on. Okay, quick.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, so a quick one. I don't know whether it was responded to and asked in the chat. My question was specifically directed to Russia, since she's the one who spoke about this. If, let's say, she mentioned her teaching experience, and I want to use my teaching experience both as my proof of work and my proof of leadership, do I then indicate a similar number of hours in both? Because there's that portion where I want us to indicate the number of hours which they've worked in those specific roles. Then I also just wanted to add on the question which Martha had asked. So in case you want to change your ranking at this point, I think I was just recently reading about this in the frequently asked questions. There's no way of doing it. The only way is you deleting what what you have applied for, and then you reapply, and then when you reapply, your application will be considered as a late application. Thank you.
Okay. Well, sorry, Emmanuel, can you help me with because my memory does not help me right now. What was the first question about? It was the university application and
Yeah, I'm trying to recall to the first question.
Oh, wow, yeah. I'm so sorry. I even prepared the answer, but then I lost it. Okay, interesting. Okay, so maybe I can answer
Emmanuel
one.
Kelo, are you there? Did you take note of the question?
I'm sorry. I think I had directed it straight to Russia, and I didn't note it down because I knew she was taking it immediately. But it's okay, Russia.
Yeah, sorry guys. I am please whoever asked the question, feel free to type it in the chat box. I can answer the question about the teaching profession. If you want to use the same reference for both work experience and leadership, that's totally fine. And actually, that's what I did. And definitely, you have to be consistent with the number of hours, because here you're telling them that my role as a teacher entailed leadership, throughout my experience at that place. So it doesn't make sense if you provide like a different number of hours in both papers. So yeah, you have to be consistent in that point. I did that and it was totally okay. So yeah, don't worry if you do that. I had my doubts, but I was like, yeah, what the hell? I got rejected once. I don't mind getting rejected again, but it turned out to be the right thing to do. Yeah, well, Kallio, could you repeat your second question? Wow. We're not really very sorry.
I think his second question was that now that the 15th has already passed and you can't re-rank your courses, can you just go in and delete whatever you think you want to delete? If you've maybe applied for 4 and you want to delete 1 so that the other comes up on top. I don't know. Yeah, that was his question.
Well, yeah, as Emmanuel, said like a few minutes ago, you cannot do that right now, because that will lead to your application to be disqualified. So what's done is done, guys. Do not go back and change anything at this point.
Yeah, I think you can't delete at all. I've looked into it right now. Once you right now, what is showing on university admissions is either application in progress or qualified, something like that. So I don't think you can delete anything right now.
Okay. Yeah, you cannot, of course. And yes, I remember that.
Even if you can, don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it as well. I think one of the questions was related to yeah, how would you apply for the scholarship if you haven't gotten the acceptance from any of the programs? Yes, of course, guys, that's the hardest part about it. I was going insane actually during that time. I was checking on the platform like every single day, and maybe during the day and during night. I mean, of course, it's not going to change at night, but I still go and check. But just let me tell you, I'm coming from the future, so just relax, okay? Because just distract yourself until of course, you will be notified first that you got accepted in the university or you got admitted, okay? Or maybe about both things. Yeah, no, you will, of course, get notified and you will go on the platform and you see yourself as admitted. But again, be patient because that doesn't mean that you are accepted at the scholarship. You have also to, relax and distract yourself one more time for a couple of weeks, another round of, couple of weeks, and just wait on the happy news of being, accepted to the scholarship. So yeah, this is how it is, but of course it's worth it if you will get it at the end.
Yes, thank you so much, Rasha. And what are your
sorry?
Yeah.
Well, didn't get that part.
Yes. What is your key takeaway, your tip for applicants really as they prepare to apply? That's this one thing. Yeah.
Well, one thing if I learned from all this, frustrations and all these roller coasters that I've been on, while applying for scholarships, is just have a goal, all right, that you really want to achieve, be genuine about it and be passionate about it, and make sure to present yourself well, because it's one thing to be talented and competent and another thing to show that, to others, let alone, on paper. That's a little bit tricky. Believe me, writing was never my strongest suit. So I really had to work on that because I realized from past experiences that I really didn't present myself well on paper. So don't be frustrated. It's not the end of the world if you get rejected once or twice, okay, which I really don't hope that it will happen to any of you. But I mean, just roll with the punches, be genuine, and express yourself as efficient and as articulate as you can. That's what I actually learned throughout the years. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm sorry if I have to leave now. And
thank you so much, Rasha.
Thanks, Emmanuel.
My next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Now
thanks
to
a lot.
you.
I'm grateful for that. Bye-bye, guys. Bye.
All right, bye.
Yes, Emmanuel, you're going to give us your last tips, but then there is a question about if someone applied and then the application was incomplete and then they want to provide that. I think that is relation to the admissions. Is that late applying? Again, that's yeah.
Except if you want to self-fund, then you can go on. But if you're considering the SI scholarship, I think it's late already. You can't do anything to your application, and whatever you've done, just leave it there. So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, that's perfectly answered. And give us what are your key
thank you so much.
takeaways?
Yeah, I would first love to mention that for those of us that are still interested in other scholarships in Sweden, there are. So I would just want to let you know that those that have already initiated their application, it is possible to get a university-based scholarship. Some schools give like 25% tuition waiver, some give 50% tuition waiver, and some give 75%. And most of the schools give like 100% tuition waiver. And yeah, there are still some schools still in Sweden that's during this process that can give you, I can't remember the school now, but you have to do your research, that can give you full tuition waiver and some amount for living expenses. So you have to do your research for that. My school, the Uppsala University, you can get a full tuition waiver on your application, and yeah, it's very competitive as well. For those of us that have applied, keep an eye on your email. They would send you these schools will send you an email for you to fill some documents, and you might be considered for this scholarship. So just something you should keep in mind. And I tell you, you guys, you need to read and do your research. There are lots of opportunities out there, and there are so many scholarships. And don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Just imagine I only applied to the Chevening scholarship and then applied to the Swedish Institute Scholarship, and Chevening placed me on reserve. Probably I would still be in Nigeria right now. But apply to as many scholarships as you can. And don't just throw in applications just for the sake of applying. Try as much as possible to put in strong application. If it's worth doing, then it's worth doing well. So the fact that you dedicated your time to submit that application, put in your best, and just do the best you can. And one keynote I want to leave with you is, at this point, rejection is something that it's almost not inevitable. The fact that you're applying doesn't mean you'll be rejected. I tell you, most of us would get rejected. It's a hard saying, but it's the truth. I personally have had lots of rejections, right? And I still have things I'm applying for that I've received countless rejections. But one thing is key: consistency. Consistency is key. Just within a space of few months, I've applied for like several, I won't mention here, but like for several roles, academics, of course. And I received several rejections, but then I never stopped applying, and I'm at the verge of clinging to many that I've applied to. So just be consistent with your application. Don't just take no for an answer and then you're discouraged and not apply again. You would get rejection, yes. The best of us have received several rejections. So don't be discouraged because you got rejected. Just keep applying and make sure you build on your application. And finally, what I would say is, for those of us that want to apply by next year, try to use this opportunity to build your profile. It is very important. If anyone gets rejection, don't just sit back at home and throw back same document as you did this time. Make sure you deliberately take steps, take voluntary positions, opportunities, do things to build your profile, leadership opportunities, so that when you're applying the next time, you are coming as a better candidate than the previous year. These things I tell you is very important. And if you go with that mindset, definitely you get a scholarship. And yeah, I would leave you with these few thoughts. And yeah, you have further questions, you can write me on LinkedIn, and yeah, I would respond to those.
Hey, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for those key insights and tips. I see another Emmanuel's he has been consistent in having his hand up. So we'll take that last question, and then Mark, I know Mark Asimwe as well has been a recipient of the SI scholarship. You'll just have a word or two with us and then we'll close. So Emmanuel, ask your question quickly and clearly, and then Mark, you'll take one.
Okay, thank you very much. I came in a bit late, but I just wanted to find out the issue of the English proficiency. Like for Russia in Uganda, the language we are taught in is majorly English. I don't know how SI scholarship considers that. In the when I joined year one, my school of medicine, I began doing more of research. Okay, my passion is in research work, and I have a few publications in it. Now, since I've been doing work majorly based on research, can that be also? Thank you.
Well, I didn't get the very last part of your question. You said, since you've been mostly working in research, would you like to just make that clear, Emmanuel?
I was saying now, most of the work I've been doing concurrently with my studies. Like I was at some point a research assistant in some project, but while I was a student as well, that was in my second year medical school. And then at some point there was a small grant. I was also a PI at some point, but I was still a student. Now, by the time the 5 years elapsed, which is the last year, I graduated around December this last year, 2023. Now, if I'm to count the work experience that I began for the last 5 years while I was still, do I have still to wait, or the work I was doing concurrently?
Okay, so Mark, we've got a question, I think. I mean, sorry, Emmanuel Iquara. So Mark, would you like to take that on and then have a tip or two as we close? Mark Asimwe.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Ugandan as well, but living in a very beautiful tiny city of Jönköping. My other side hustle is actually I opened up a recruiting company that helps students who want to go and study in Sweden. And I'm working with Jönköping University, Borås, University West, Trollhättan, and Skövde. As a side hustle, right? That's what they call it. Yeah. I, for one, I would like to tell everyone that it's very, very important not to discourage anyone, but remember, there are more than 20,000 people applying for the 300 or 400 slots. And any single mistake you make makes it easy for them to just throw you out. So it's important to read the instructions. Take your time. Take your time and keep note of the deadlines. I mean, if they've said this application has closed and you want to apply for it, ideally it means you didn't read well. And the Swedes are a little bit particular with deadlines as it comes to you're rather 5 minutes early than 5 minutes late to meet a Swede or a Swedish person. So it's important that you take note of the deadlines and the instructions. If they've said upload your document in PDF, you don't have to upload your document in Word format. These are the small things they use to eliminate people. The gentleman who asked about Ugandan English proficiency test. Uganda is an Anglophone, I think, Anglophone country. We speak English, we study in English, so you don't need an English proficiency test unless you have studied these programs like Cambridge syllabus and this and that, where you need AS and TOEFL and yeah. But if you're applying to countries like the UK, you will need the English proficiency test. But for Sweden, you don't need the English proficiency test. Other than that, keep checking on your emails. Don't give up, like everyone has said. If it doesn't work this time, try again the next time. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, and we are there if you have any questions or you want to ask anything. Maybe I'll post my email and maybe my LinkedIn or my WhatsApp number in the chat. Other than that, thank you everyone who has joined in today. And yeah, never give up. Like people who support Liverpool, who say they'll never walk alone. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And thank you everyone for joining into the session. The session has been recorded and will be shared on the different WhatsApp platforms that we have. If you're not on those WhatsApp platforms, I'm sorry, I didn't share a Google Sheet where you could put your emails and we'll share the recordings, but you could stay on the call in a minute. I'll share a link on the WhatsApp on the chat here, and you can join one of the WhatsApp groups if you're not onto one of those WhatsApp groups, so you can receive the link. But thank you so much, Emmanuel, really, and Mark and Rasha who left, and for being part of this. And yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor, and sharing my experience as well. Thank you.